They say death is the end. But what if it's only the beginning? Imagine closing your eyes for the last time and realizing you're still awake. You try to speak, but no one answers. You reach out, but your hand passes through the air. Your body lies still, yet your mind is more alive than ever. Where are you? What happens next? Some call it the Umbral, a realm between worlds where lost souls wander, not in punishment, but in confusion. A place shaped not by fire, but by thought. And beyond it lies something far greater: cities of light, gardens of healing, halls of wisdom, and the very heartbeat of divine mercy itself. This video is not about fear. It's about awakening, about remembering that every choice, every emotion, and every act of love creates the world we will one day awaken into. So stay until the end, because by the final moment, you'll see that death was never an ending, only the turning of a page in an eternal story written by light itself. If you believe consciousness continues, hit like, subscribe, and share this message, because someone, somewhere, may need to hear it tonight. Everything begins with a strange silence. The heart has stopped, but the mind still pulses. The character feels that something has changed. The air is different. The sounds of the surroundings seem distant. He tries to speak, but no one answers. Around him, voices cry, and he sees his own motionless body. In that instant, a chilling doubt fills the air. Could it be that I've died? The body is there, yet he feels more alive than ever. The first feeling is confusion. Some try to embrace their loved ones and pass right through them. Others scream soundlessly, desperate to be heard. It is the most delicate moment of the crossing, when the spirit still believes it belongs to the physical world. Fear tightens, longing screams, and time seems to no longer exist. But something changes. A subtle breeze flows through the space, and a presence approaches, gentle, luminous, impossible to describe with human words. It is not a winged angel, but an energy that radiates calm, understanding, and a love the newly disembodied soul has never felt before. It is the mentor, the spiritual guide who came to receive him. He does not speak with words, but with vibrations. Every gaze is a message. Every gesture is comfort. The spirit feels an inner force urging him to trust, to release fear, to follow that light. Little by little, resistance dissolves, and the weight of the body begins to fade. The sensation is of floating in a warm ocean of peace. However, not everyone experiences this moment with serenity. Many do not accept death, and this denial creates dense mists around the mind. These are the ones who remain trapped between two worlds, wandering, confused, drawn to vibrations of pain, attachment, or guilt. And it is in this vibrational limbo that the region known as the Umbral begins. The mentor watches with compassion. He knows that every soul has its own time. For some, the crossing is an awakening of light. For others, it is a long journey through shadows before rediscovering the brightness of their own consciousness. And it is precisely at this point that the great question arises: what keeps souls trapped in the Umbral, and what sets them free? There are threads the human eyes can't see, but the soul feels them with absolute clarity. They're bonds woven from love, living energy that crosses dimensions, time, and distance. When someone departs, love doesn't die, it simply changes form. It's as if the heart learns to hug through memory, to touch through prayer, to speak through silence. In the spiritual realm, these bonds vibrate like luminous strings connecting spirits who love each other. Parents and children, couples, friends, soul companions, all remain linked by subtle frequencies that even death can't erase. Sometimes, a simple thought of longing on earth is enough for a spirit on the other side to feel the warmth of that affection. But true love is not attachment. It liberates, it uplifts. That's why, when someone prays sincerely for a loved one, that vibration turns into a healing light. Spiritual mentors say that genuine prayers reach the umbral like arrows of radiance, breaking through the darkness and guiding lost souls back toward awareness. There are stories of spirits who, upon hearing the cries of those left behind, draw near to comfort them. And when they realize they are remembered with love, not despair, something shifts within them. A spark reignites, and the shadows begin to fade. It's the power of a feeling that transcends worlds. Love, then, is the true antidote to spiritual loneliness. It builds bridges between dimensions and gives the soul the unshakable certainty that it was never alone. Even when the body says goodbye, love continues to work, silently and endlessly, within the invisible fabric of eternity. And it is through that thread of light that many spirits begin their healing, guided by familiar voices calling them back to consciousness. Because in the end, love is the one bond that neither time nor death can sever. But what happens when that same love leads the soul to revisit its own past? Every soul, once it begins to awaken from the confusion of death, is gently guided toward a place unlike any on earth, a realm of light and silence where time seems to breathe instead of pass. The spirits call it the Valley of Memories. It's not a punishment, nor a reward. It's a mirror of the soul itself. Here, the air vibrates with colors that reflect emotions, and the landscape changes with each memory that surfaces. As the spirit walks through this luminous valley, scenes from its life unfold like living films, not as distant recollections, but as experiences felt all over again. The joy, the pain, the choices, everything returns not to accuse, but to teach. The soul sees the laughter it caused and the tears it ignored. It feels the weight of words once spoken in anger and the warmth of kindnesses it had long forgotten. There are no judges here, only understanding. The spirit realizes that every action, every thought, left a trace on others, and those traces now echo back like waves across eternity. Some spirits kneel, overcome by remorse. Others weep in gratitude as they realize how much light they had unknowingly spread. The mentors who accompany them do not interfere. They simply radiate compassion, allowing the soul to face itself with courage. It's the sacred moment when knowledge turns into wisdom. The Valley of Memories is both a sanctuary and a classroom. Each revelation dissolves a shadow, each understanding expands the light. Slowly, the soul begins to forgive itself. Not because it forgets, but because it finally remembers who it truly is. And when the spirit's light grows strong enough to face the truth without pain, a new path appears before it, leading to healing, renewal, and peace. But that journey only truly begins when suffering itself transforms into light. There is a moment in every soul's journey when pain ceases to be an enemy and becomes a teacher. In the lower regions of the spirit world, many wander carrying invisible wounds, guilt, resentment, regret, like heavy stones tied to their essence. At first, they fight against it, crying out, "Why me?" But slowly, through silence, they begin to understand. Pain is not punishment. It's awakening. When the soul stops running and finally listens, it discovers something extraordinary. Every tear was a seed, every wound a doorway. The suffering that once imprisoned it now begins to open paths of understanding. It's as if light starts leaking through the cracks of the heart, transforming shadows into lessons. The mentors who watch over these spirits know this process well. They never impose, never judge. They simply surround the suffering soul with patience, until one day, the spirit whispers, "I understand now." And that single phrase, spoken with sincerity, radiates like a sunrise, because comprehension is the first spark of liberation. Pain, when accepted, becomes energy in motion. It burns away illusions, pride, and false identities. What remains is essence, pure, luminous, humble. The spirit begins to feel gratitude for what once seemed unbearable. It realizes that every fall was a step toward light, every scar a reminder of growth. In this alchemy of emotion, darkness is not destroyed, it's transformed. The fire of suffering refines the soul as gold is refined by heat. And just like gold, the soul emerges brighter, clearer, ready to love again, not out of need, but out of truth. When pain becomes light, the umbral loses its grip. The soul rises, drawn by gentler vibrations, toward places of rest and renewal, toward the gardens where healing awaits. After the storms of pain, there comes a silence, not the silence of emptiness, but of renewal. The spirit, exhausted from its battles in the umbral, begins to sense a fragrance in the air, something pure, soft, almost musical. As it follows that scent, the heavy mist dissolves, revealing a landscape that seems to have been painted by peace itself. It has arrived at the gardens of spiritual healing. Here, everything breathes harmony. The trees glow with a subtle luminescence, and the breeze carries melodies that speak directly to the soul. The ground feels alive, pulsing gently beneath the spirit's feet, as if the very earth were welcoming it home. Flowers open not to the sun, but to the vibration of gratitude. In this place, even silence has color. Gentle figures move among the paths, healers of light, mentors of infinite compassion. They don't use medicine or words, but energy. With a simple gesture, they channel magnetic currents that restore the weary spirit's balance. Waves of warmth flow through the being, dissolving pain, shame, and fatigue, like a divine balm that remembers exactly where to touch. In the gardens, rest is not sleep, but a conscious peace. The spirit lies upon fields of soft light, and memories of suffering begin to fade, not erased, but transformed. Each vibration of love reprograms its essence, reminding it that it was never lost, only learning. Some spirits stay for days, others for what feels like years. Time has no meaning here, only rhythm, like the heartbeat of eternity. And when the mentors feel the soul is strong enough to continue, they smile and gently say, "It's time to wake up to yourself again." As the spirit rises, renewed, it looks around one last time, feeling gratitude, peace, and the certainty that light was never far away. It was always waiting inside. And yet, a new challenge awaits, a deeper awakening, where no one judges the soul except itself. In the higher planes, there are no courts, no divine thrones, no booming voices declaring guilt or innocence. Judgment, as many imagine it, doesn't exist. What does exist is conscience, that sacred whisper within the soul that can no longer be silenced. When the spirit is ready, it's guided to a chamber of light so pure that it reflects everything it touches. And there, in that mirror of eternity, the soul sees itself. At first, there's awe, then humility. Every choice, every emotion, every hidden intention appears with absolute clarity. There's no one accusing, no one forgiving, only the truth vibrating without distortion. The spirit realizes that the universe never condemned it. It simply allowed it to see who it had become. In this moment, many spirits weep, not from punishment, but from understanding. They feel the pain they once caused, not as retribution, but as empathy. They see how a single word of kindness might have changed a life, how silence, at times, was a wound. The weight of awareness presses upon them, yet within that weight lies the seed of redemption. The mentors remain close, radiating serenity. They don't interfere, because no one can hide from their own heart. This is the real purification, when the soul stops blaming others, stops defending itself, and begins to love truth more than comfort. That is when conscience becomes light. Gradually, the spirit feels forgiveness rise from within. Not the shallow forgiveness of words, but the profound kind that only comes from understanding. It forgives itself, not because it forgets, but because it finally learns. The pain fades, replaced by peace, the peace of alignment with the divine. When the process ends, the soul no longer asks for absolution. It simply is clear, weightless, luminous. And from that serenity, a new awareness emerges. There are beings who have walked beside it all along, guiding, protecting, loving in silence. The mentors, the guardians of light. From the moment we draw our first breath, unseen hands accompany us. They are not distant angels or mythical beings, but souls who have long walked the path of light. Our mentors, our guardians, our invisible teachers. They watch over us with a love that expects nothing in return, working tirelessly in silence, guiding us through storms we often never realize they calmed. In the spiritual world, these beings shine like suns cloaked in serenity. They are the ones who greet the disoriented soul after death, who whisper courage to the brokenhearted, and who steady the trembling when fear clouds faith. Their presence isn't announced, it's felt. A sudden peace in the middle of chaos, a warm thought that says, "You're not alone." Many of these mentors have shared lifetimes with us before. A mother from a past life, a friend once lost, a soul we once helped. now standing by our side, returning the kindness through service. In the divine economy of love, nothing is ever wasted. Every act of compassion becomes a bridge that someone may one day walk back across to help us. But the guardians do not interfere with free will. They illuminate paths, but we must choose to walk them. When we fall, they don't judge, they simply wait, radiating patience. And when we finally lift our gaze from despair, they are there, smiling with that silent expression that says, "Welcome back." In the Umbral, these beings are the first responders of heaven, rescuers of consciousness. They descend into the densest shadows to find those who cry in silence, wrapping them in waves of magnetic energy and carrying them to healing colonies. Their mission is pure service, to love without condition and to remind every soul of its own forgotten light. And as the rescued soul awakens, still fragile but shining faintly, it begins to understand the greatest truth. These mentors were never outside. They were, and always will be, the voice of the divine echoing within. Yet even with their help, one truth remains unshakable: our thoughts shape the world we inhabit, both here and beyond. In the spirit world, thought is not invisible. It is substance, living energy that shapes, colors, and gives form to everything around. Every idea, every emotion, every vibration of the mind becomes architecture in the invisible realms. A single thought of fear can darken the air like smoke. A single prayer of love can turn that same space into a sunrise. Here, the mind is the brush, and the soul is the artist. The landscapes of the Umbral, with their dense fog and sorrowful echoes, are not punishments from above. They are collective paintings of the minds that dwell there. Likewise, the luminous cities of light, where peace sings through the air, are built from the thoughts of spirits aligned with harmony and purpose. Spiritual mentors say that, on earth, thought takes time to manifest. But in the beyond, the veil of matter no longer slows it down. There, creation is instantaneous. What one feels, one sees. That is why learning to think with love, gratitude, and clarity becomes the greatest preparation for life after life. The power of thought is not only creative, it is magnetic. Similar vibrations attract each other. Souls vibrating in despair gather together, just as those radiating kindness form natural circles of light. Every spirit becomes the center of its own universe, orbiting around the frequency of its inner world. Understanding this, many spirits begin to train their thoughts as one trains the breath, gently, consciously. They learn that every moment of irritation can be transmuted into compassion, every memory of pain into forgiveness. With each change of thought, the surrounding energy transforms, and the world itself seems to shift in response. And so, the spirit finally grasps a universal truth. Heaven and hell are not places, they are states of consciousness. What we think, we live. What we radiate, we become. And as thought evolves, so too does the soul's environment, opening the gates toward higher realms, the luminous colonies of light, where love itself becomes law. Beyond the gray valleys of confusion, where the umbral dissolves into dawn, rise vast cities that shimmer with consciousness. These are the colonies of light, realms of peace built by hands that no longer tire and hearts that no longer hate. They are not castles in the clouds, but living cities sustained by harmony itself. Every thought here sings. Every action breathes love. As a newly awakened soul approaches, the first sensation is awe. The air feels alive, fragrant with serenity. Transparent domes glimmer under skies of soft radiance, and crystalline rivers flow, carrying luminous particles that seem to whisper prayers. There are gardens that stretch beyond sight and halls where knowledge glows instead of being spoken. It is civilization refined to its purest vibration, a reflection of divine order through beauty. Here work is joy. Every being contributes according to its essence. Some heal, some teach, some create music that nourishes the spirit itself. There are no hierarchies of power, only circles of purpose. The law that governs these cities is not written in stone, but inscribed in every heart: to love, to serve, to evolve. Spirits who once wandered in darkness now dedicate themselves to guiding others toward light. In these colonies, compassion is the currency, learning the treasure. Even architecture reflects consciousness. Buildings respond to emotion, colors shift with thought, and music vibrates through the air as if the city itself were alive. Every corner radiates a silent truth. There is no greater happiness than to be useful in love. It is here that many souls finally understand that service, the act of lifting another, is the quickest path to transcendence. The more they give, the brighter their light becomes. And when their vibration grows luminous enough, some are called to even higher realms, others return to the lower planes as messengers, carrying hope into the shadows. Because in the infinite ladder of evolution, every light born of love eventually becomes a lighthouse for someone still lost at sea. Every soul, no matter how luminous, eventually walks through a night where heaven seems to fall silent. It's a moment when prayers echo without reply, when guidance feels distant, and when even the light of hope seems to dim. The spirit looks upward and whispers, "Where are you?" Yet only silence answers. In that silence, faith is stripped bare. No visions, no miracles, no signs, just the raw pulse of existence itself. Many spirits falter here, believing they've been abandoned. But what they don't yet see is that silence is not absence. It is invitation. The divine does not always speak in thunder. Sometimes it whispers through stillness, asking the soul to listen within. For the first time, the spirit realizes that it's not waiting for God to act. It's being called to become a participant in the sacred dialogue of creation. The silence forces awareness inward, revealing that the voice of God has always been there, woven into conscience, intuition, and the rhythm of love itself. Some souls cry, others rage, until exhaustion softens them into surrender. And it is in that surrender, when all defenses collapse, that they finally hear it, not a voice, but a knowing. A warmth rising from the center of their being, whispering, "I never left you." It's the moment when faith transforms from belief into direct experience. From then on, silence no longer frightens. It becomes sanctuary. The soul learns that divine communication isn't always sound. It's vibration, alignment, presence. The absence of answers is sometimes the space where wisdom grows. And when the spirit emerges from that inner desert, it does so transformed, steadier, wiser, radiant. Because faith that has walked through silence is no longer faith in words, it's faith in truth itself. And it's from that renewed faith that souls begin preparing for their next great mission, to return to earth, to love again, and to continue the endless cycle of learning. When a soul has rested, healed, and learned, a new whisper begins to rise within it, a quiet yearning to grow again. But in the higher realms, growth no longer means escape from pain. It means embracing it with purpose. And so begins one of the most sacred moments in all existence, the planning of reincarnation, the preparation for another human life. The soul is guided to luminous halls of consciousness, where mentors and wise spirits gather around a table of light. Before them unfolds a panorama, not of destiny written in stone, but of possibilities woven from love, karma, and choice. Every challenge, every relationship, every trial to come is discussed, not as punishment, but as opportunity for expansion. In this space, nothing is random. That person who will one day become your greatest enemy may have been your closest friend in another life, agreeing now to play a difficult role so that both may evolve. The illnesses, losses, and disappointments that await are chosen not out of cruelty, but as medicine for the soul's growth. Each experience becomes a classroom, each hardship a sculptor's chisel shaping divine character. There are moments of hesitation. The soul remembers the weight of the flesh, the amnesia of birth, the loneliness of forgetting. Will I be strong enough? It asks. The mentor smiles and answers, "You will forget us for a while, but we will never forget you." And in that promise, courage is reborn. With a luminous breath, agreements are sealed through vibration, souls intertwining destinies, promising to meet again as family, lovers, or even adversaries, each role perfectly aligned with mutual evolution. Then comes the descent, the gradual dimming of memory as consciousness begins to fold itself into matter, preparing for birth once more. And when the first cry of a newborn echoes on Earth, somewhere in the higher planes, a mentor smiles. Another chapter begins. Another opportunity to love, to forgive, to remember who we truly are. Yet, not every spirit chooses the light so willingly. Some still wander in denial and shadow, the travelers of darkness, waiting to awaken. Not every soul rises easily after death. Some, still bound by hatred, fear, or ignorance, wander through realms of shadow, places where light feels distant, though it never truly leaves. These are the travelers of darkness, spirits who have not yet awakened to the truth of who they are. Their prisons are not walls or chains, but thoughts, the echo of emotions they refuse to release. In these lower regions, the air itself seems heavy. Cities of illusion form from collective despair, gray towers built from anger, fog thick with confusion. Spirits gather in groups, drawn by shared vibrations, clinging to what they once believed defined them: power, revenge, or sorrow. To them, the umbral feels real, solid, eternal. They do not yet see that they are walking through the projection of their own minds. But even here, love works tirelessly. Teams of rescuers, luminous spirits wrapped in cloaks of compassion, descend into these dense zones, risking their own vibration to reach the lost. They do not come with sermons or commands, but with silence, patience, and gentle radiance. Sometimes they wait for years, hovering near a soul's faint spark, until a single thought of remorse flickers like a candle in the dark. That single thought changes everything. In that moment, the light within the soul calls for help, and instantly, unseen hands respond. What was once invisible becomes a doorway. The rescuers lift the weary traveler, carrying them to places of rest where they can remember, heal, and finally see. The darkness was never punishment, it was the consequence of blindness. Every soul, no matter how deep it has fallen, is destined for light. There are no eternal outcasts, no abandoned children of creation. Even the most stubborn spirits, after countless ages of wandering, eventually tire of hate and reach upward, not to escape judgment, but to rediscover love. And when they do, something miraculous happens. Those who were once rescued become rescuers themselves. Having known the night, they now guide others toward dawn. Because in the universe, redemption is not an exception, it is the law. And the light that saves them often comes from a single, powerful source: the united prayers of those still living on Earth. In the vast symphony of the universe, every thought is a note, and when many hearts beat in harmony, creation itself listens. That is the secret of collective prayer. When minds unite in faith and love, invisible rivers of luminous energy begin to flow between worlds, forming bridges of rescue that no darkness can withstand. In the spirit world, these moments look like dawns breaking across dimensions. From the densest regions of the Umbral, where sorrow once reigned, sudden waves of radiance begin to pulse. They are not miracles falling from heaven. They are the reflections of human hearts praying together, sending frequencies of hope that travel faster than light. Spiritual mentors describe these vibrations as currents of living magnetism. Each sincere prayer, no matter how simple, becomes a spark. 1,000 sparks together ignite a field so powerful that entire zones of suffering are softened, spirits lifted, and healing accelerated. It is not the words that matter, but the feeling behind them, the vibration of compassion released without expectation. Sometimes, these currents are seen as spheres of golden light descending into the darkness. Rescuers follow them like beacons, guiding their missions of salvation. A mother praying for her lost son, a community meditating for peace, a group of strangers joining their intentions online, all generate this same sacred energy, unknowingly shaping the unseen world. The power of collective prayer also transforms those who give it. As hearts synchronize in love, egos dissolve, and the participants themselves become brighter, lighter, closer to the divine frequency. Every act of selfless prayer is a rehearsal for higher existence, a preview of the unity that governs the colonies of light. And in that union, one truth becomes clear: no one prays alone. Every genuine thought of love joins an eternal current that already flows through the cosmos. It connects the living and the departed, the healer and the healed, the earth and the stars. And in that radiant current, every soul will one day review the masterpiece of its own life, not with fear, but with reverence. When the spirit reaches a certain level of clarity, something extraordinary occurs. No one summons it. No one commands it. It simply happens, a phenomenon known among enlightened beings as the reading of life. In that sacred moment, the soul stands before the luminous screen of its own consciousness, and everything it has ever lived begins to unfold again. There are no lies here. No filters. Every thought, every emotion, every choice, large or small, reappears with crystalline precision. But the miracle is not in what the spirit sees, it's in what it feels. For the first time, it experiences every moment not just through its own eyes, but through the hearts of all those it ever touched. It feels the joy it inspired and the pain it caused, as if every life were its own. This is not punishment. It is revelation. The universe is not seeking to shame the soul, but to awaken it. Through this divine panorama, it learns the mathematics of love, that every action generates ripples through countless lives, and those ripples always return to their source. Nothing is ever lost, everything teaches. Many spirits weep during this experience, not out of fear, but out of reverence. They finally see how even their smallest acts of kindness shaped destinies, and how moments of cruelty were often born from ignorance rather than evil. Forgiveness begins to bloom, first toward others, and then toward themselves. When the vision ends, the soul feels lighter, purer, wiser. It no longer asks, "Why did this happen to me?" but rather, "What did I create, and what did I learn?" The past is no longer a burden, it becomes a map. And with that map in hand, the spirit can finally choose its next step with love instead of guilt. And yet, even this profound revelation is only a chapter in the grand story. Beyond remorse, beyond understanding, lies something far greater, the radiant force that sustains every world, forgives every mistake, and never ceases to call us home: divine mercy. After all the journeys through darkness and awakening, the spirit discovers the truth that transcends every philosophy, every religion, every name for God. No soul is ever forgotten. Even in the deepest shadow, even in the farthest exile, the current of divine mercy continues to flow, quiet, patient, eternal. This mercy is not a distant forgiveness, granted by a cosmic judge. It is the living heartbeat of the universe itself, the vibration that keeps every star burning and every soul evolving. It is the voice that whispers to the lost, "You still belong." It is the unseen hand that lifts, again and again, every being that falls. In the higher realms, spirits describe this mercy as light that has no source, because it is the source. It moves through everything, even pain. It transforms what was once sorrow into wisdom, guilt into compassion, and fear into strength. It is love in its purest frequency, beyond the reach of death or time. Every lesson the soul endures, every tear it sheds, is cradled within that infinite compassion. The universe never punishes, it educates. It doesn't destroy, it transforms. And once the soul truly understands this, all fear of punishment dissolves. What remains is gratitude, the awareness that existence itself is an act of mercy. From this realization, the spirit's light expands beyond recognition. It no longer seeks salvation for itself alone, but for all. It becomes a co-creator with the divine, radiating healing through every plane of life. This is the final awakening, when the soul no longer asks for light, but becomes light. And that is why, in the vastness of eternity, the flame of divine mercy never fades. It lives in every sunrise, every act of kindness, every forgiven mistake. It is the quiet promise written into the heart of all creation. One day, every being will find its way back to love. Now you know, the Umbral is not a place of punishment, but of transformation. It's where fear becomes learning, and darkness becomes the canvas for light. Every prayer you whisper, every act of kindness, creates a vibration that travels farther than you imagine. It touches the lost, heals the broken, and reminds the universe that love still lives on earth. So the question is not what happens after death, The real question is, what kind of world are you creating now, with your thoughts, your words, your love? Because when this life ends, you won't walk into judgment. You'll walk into yourself. And there, waiting for you in the silence, will be the same truth that has guided every soul since the dawn of time. Love never ends. Light never fades. And no one is ever truly lost. If this message touched you, leave a comment below. Share it with someone you love. And remember, your light, no matter how small it feels, is part of the flame that keeps the entire universe alive.